I love it, Matt. I love the way
That sounds like
I love the way you think.
It's about how Ben plans, yeah.
It is about how I plan. Shut up, Joel. Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. My name's Ben. We're here to talk about shooting. On deck today, a guy that I would say he's. Are you guys still hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh man, my video feed is frozen. That's terrible. Anyway, I was gonna compare Joel to like the chubby chick that's always down. You know what I mean? Like you can bang her line anytime. She's good to go. But now it feels rude now to say that.
So
that's why Joel's always here, because he's always down to come on, and he's nice and he's smart.
I have no.
But a guy
before you said he's nice and he's smart was the same exact thing you said earlier.
Okay. Anyway, and another guy that I've been having a hard time reaching the last few months, Matt Hopkins. Where you been, buddy?
I've been on a sabbatical. I figure I've been on so many years, I get to take off a few months, right?
Well, you were exactly wrong, sir. I would like to. No, I mean, I guess I don't really care to take time off, but maybe someday I will, and I'll just have you guys figure it out for 3 months. We'll see how that goes.
We'll get Tim to run it, right?
I figured it out while you were in Australia and your recordings were smoked.
I still had to be on.
I already had you replaced.
You actually did have me replaced.
You wanted to be on. I was like, hey, this will be so awesome. People won't even it's fine without that Ben guy. Don't worry about it. We're good.
All right, guys, you know the rules. Everybody comes here with the topic, something fun to chit-chat about. Show and tell, something you've been working on in shooting lately, or something that genuinely pisses you off. You know, all these things are fun. Who'd like to go first?
I want to hear from Matt.
I want to hear from Matt, too. I'm dying to hear from Matt. I understand you've been shooting a gun that is plastic.
Yes, that is what
voluntarily.
Voluntarily, yes.
And crushing people with it from the results I've seen.
Well,
I heard that plastic guns are dumb, Matt.
Plastic guns are fine. I think it totally comes down to the shooter, and it doesn't matter about the gun.
Yeah,
I have some things about it. So I shot steel guns for a long time. We came out with a new polymer gun at CZ, making them in the U.S. at our location in Kansas City.
So you're actually, for once, this is a first, right? Building your own guns in the U.S.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So we've tooled up on manufacturing and all that, and got everything in place. Started building them, and then I figured, why not shoot it? Give it a try. And see if I can learn anything, see if it's as bad as everybody says or anything along those lines. It's definitely different than the other gun.
And this is Striker, right? This isn't a double single gun?
Yeah, it's a striker fire, just like the standard Glock XD MMP 320.
Okay.
So same trigger pull every shot, none of that double action, single action stuff. Not like I had a problem with that before, but
I usually just shoot the double action one in the dirt somewhere, and that way you have the nice single action pull.
That's the easiest way, and you don't get like no shoots or anything either.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your observation shooting plastic? Like the main observation? Are you just going to reiterate it's not really too much about the gun?
There's some things I've noticed right away. I have drawn faster than I ever have before, like in practice and stuff.
I believe this is what I try to tell people, but they don't want to hear it.
I have reloaded equally to where I was with the Shadow 2 with basically zero practice.
Mm-hmm. Because that would involve dry practice.
Well, yeah, but
which
I haven't done.
You've never been too keen on.
Is that because like the metal on metal binds, or because the plastic gun's like lighter or faster to bring down to reload, or?
I think the draw is faster just because the stroke of the double action first shot. And I think it's lighter, so you can actually get it up higher and faster.
What about for the reloads?
Those two combinations.
Okay.
Reloads. I don't know on that. I'm not real sure. I know this has a bigger magazine, kind of like the Stock 2 versus the Shadows.
Oh, it's not the same magazine.
It's not. It's the bigger mag.
Oh, so like what does CZ call the large frame magazines?
They're P series mags. There's two different ones now. For anybody, we had to do 3 different kinds of mags.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. I also don't. Joel, I want to interject here. I don't know why either. But the plastic guns, like if I have a Glock, I'm gonna be faster to draw it and reload it. Full stop. I don't. I could speculate as to why, but it's definitely faster.
I thought it was maybe
length of trigger pull has a lot to do with it.
Okay. I've always shot metal guns. Like I shot a CZ with a SP-01 tactical in like 05, I think, when they came out, and I've shot like metal guns since then. So I don't have any like experience on polymer guns, but I know on a stock 2, when I was really jamming like reloads hard when I was getting started, I could stick a magazine basically in the gun, you know, where I'd have to pull down on the magazine to pull it out. So that made me think maybe on the plastic gun you wouldn't get that at all, where it would just like it wouldn't stick like that. Okay.
It's hard to say. I don't practice with Glocks a whole lot sometimes, but it's definitely faster to draw and reload.
Did Gaston say anything about that? Because I know he switched to Glocks for a couple years.
Dude, that dude's such a crackhead when it comes to like gun, like gear. He gets hung up on weird stuff and then just like stays hung up on it. I don't know what he's gonna do now. He like wanted to shoot standard. This was actually kind of funny. Like his primers are so shit for so when he puts them in major 40 caliber loads, his firing pin was piercing the primers a little bit. So if you shot the gun hot, like if you shot it a couple hundred rounds, you know, relatively rapid fire training, you would reliably cut the extractor out of the gun with the gas.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
He was shooting a TS.
No kidding.
Yeah. And it wasn't the gun's fault. It wasn't about it being a CZ.
That's actually kind of impressive.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was. If you shot the gun cold, like the gun would last a match because it cools down between stages. But you shot it hot, about 1 in 5 primers it was piercing, and it like fucked up the breech face, and it cut the. I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but it's just like he gets hung up on weird gear shit. So like last time I was down with him, he was trying to figure out if he could make 40 caliber work with the ammunition he has available to him, and I think we landed on a no for that. When he was training with Glocks, he was shooting Glocks in standard, and he was training with major 9mm loads, which was kind of weird. But he had major 9 to train with. And 40 caliber brass is expensive there, so he would just have 40 for matches. But he definitely seemed to draw the Glock faster to me, whether or not he would admit to that. But this was when he never dry fired.
What about recoil then, Matt? Because I mean, the lighter gun, of course, is going to snap a bit more, but
so I've done doubles drills.
So. Yeah,
I did doubles, I did draws and reloads. I did a real simple practice session. Noticed no difference between the Shadow 2 and the P10F on doubles drill at all. Yeah, no. I actually had less like variation in the shots at 10 yards than with the Shadow 2. Because I would actually sling some of those high.
Is that the... I don't have messed with Jared's gun. Is that the one with the really sharp checkering on the frame?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so that one, like, that gun's easy to grip well.
Yeah.
It does stay put in your hands.
It is very aggressive. And if you do, like, miss it, it's hard to correct it a little bit, but... That always happens, though.
I like that part, because some of those guns are kind of slippery. And with that, I like the checkering because it really felt like it stayed put.
Yeah. The only other thing I noticed, the longer shots are definitely going to be harder than the single action guns. So that is going to take quite a bit of work this year, I think. But seeing like the draw and reload be equal to where I'm at already with the Shadow 2s, it's like, okay, yeah, I could train on the long distance stuff, like harder shots. Not too bad.
You were shooting the Shadow 2s like a motherfucker last year at distance, though, as I recall.
No.
Yes, I remember.
It's going to like a free state.
Yeah, well, you crushed me. Yeah, every
I'm
time.
talking about the match you drove up here for, where there's the stage where everything's at 30 yards, and you're like punching out alphas.
Yeah.
I was shooting majors, so it's like I'm just gonna hang them on the targets, baby. Let's go.
I think that the long shots are going to be hard, or the partials.
Are you going to shoot that gun this year then?
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot it all year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. How much does that thing cost? Because I guess that'd be the main selling point.
I mean, it retails for like MSRP is $590.
So street price is like 500 or 450.
$500, yeah.
And it'd be a gun for shooting people, right? Like realistically, it's a carry gun.
Yeah, it's a full-size gun. It's like a full-size combat type gun. It's like in the same range as the G17.
Okay.
Size-wise.
Do you guys make sights yet, or CZ Custom, or I'm guessing if not, they will be.
So we I helped put a serrated rear sight on it from the factory, and we have a night sight that comes standard on it.
Oh, okay.
So all I did was just replace the front sight with a sight from our factory for the like PO9s.
Yeah.
Works perfectly. That's all I had to do.
Okay.
Perfect. So, real talk, Matt. Like real talk.
Yeah.
Is this better than Glocks?
I've never shot Glocks. I have no idea.
Damn it! I was hoping you'd say yes. Get some people wound up.
I will say I've messed with one a bit, not shot one, and I did like the frame. I liked the checkering because it stayed put. It was definitely not slippery. I liked that.
It's more aggressive than the rough texture Glocks.
For sure.
All right. Well, Matt, very good. Shooting a new gun. Love to hear it. And I'm happy you're back. Now, let's talk about book time. So if you guys want to pay me for advertising on the podcast, I'm definitely amenable to those discussions. I don't really do it, but if you offer to write me a big enough check, I will absolutely sell out. It's just a question of how much money. Anyway, that's how I got this book, by the way. The guy didn't write a check. I just said, I don't really do like advertisements on the podcast, but if you send me
isn't your book?
This is not my book. If you send me a thing, I will talk about it. So a nice gentleman sent me this book called the Practical Shooting Training Journal. And what it is basically it's a book of log sheets and drill sketches where you can sketch out drills and write down how you're doing on them. I have not used this. This is not my product, but a guy sent it to me and gave it to me. So here it is on the show with me talking about it. There's no other content in here. You just sketch in drills, write down how you did on them, dry fire, live fire, date. It's basically just a logbook. It costs $10 on Amazon. It's not something I would personally buy because all of my books already have log sheets into them. You know what I mean? But if you're using like a mixed sort of system, like just say you're using my stuff and some other people's stuff and you want to like mix it together or whatever, this book is a reasonable product for the money if this is something you want. It's not an advertisement. I'm just telling you, the guy sent this to me, so that's what I think.
Like, how did you do it practice today? Like, what are your goals or anything like that? Or is it literally just lines on the paper?
No, it's not lines on paper. So there's one sheet that's drill name, start position, stage procedure, scoring, stage sketch, and then notes. So you can like write out what it is you did. And then it's backed up with a few pages of log sheets for that same thing. And then followed by another drill sheet. So, I mean, yeah, it's like if you want your own thing that's nice and organized, I think this is, like I said, this is a reasonable product for the money. It's totally fine. Now, there's other drill books that have drills in them, but no place to log the stuff on there that's convenient. And this would be fine to use with that. I think this is totally okay.
Or if you make up your own drills.
Yes. So it's called Practical Shooting Training Journal. I checked on Amazon. It's sold by TNT Books. The guy who sent it to me, he didn't put his name on it, so I don't know if he wants me to dox him. So I'm going to see if he answered my question. He did not. So I'm not going to put his name out there. But it's just a thing that he made, and there it is. So that's what I think about it. Now we'll talk about another book, one that I do want to promote aggressively, and I think everybody should buy 2 or 3 copies of it. That's Joel's reading it now. It's called Breakthrough Marksmanship, and it should be out around the time this podcast. What do you think about it, Joel?
I like it. So let's talk about a couple of things that I think are unique from this book from other things. One of which were the diagrams.
Well, let me tell you what I did, Joel, and you can tell me if I hit the mark. So I stripped down the book, and it's or like all of my previous work, I decided to, instead of going, this is technique, this is live fire drills, this is dry fire drills, that's how I've previously organized things. It's kind of like, this is the basic shit that I tell people about in fundamentals classes. A few simple dry fire drills, a few simple live fire drills, backed up with a few other drills, and then some technique ideas, like just the highlights. And then the major change is there's assessment diagrams in there for how to figure out what is happening with your shooting if you're shooting specific drills. That's fair. That's what's in there.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess. So yeah. So like if you go to, well, your normal books have a lot of information, and not everybody wants to read that much. So if you want like a condensed, just what I need to know, the book is perfect for that. The other thing I like is that it's so like if you take a class, it's 2 days. There's a lot of shooting. There's a lot going on, and then maybe I just can't retain all of it. So this is a good way to brush up and be like, grip. What was that? Oh yeah, like maybe hold with my firing hand, crush with my support hand, something like that. Well, my targets look like this. What could I? Oh yeah. So it's like a good way to brush up from classes. And then the diagrams are quite good. There's a lot of things in those that I like, but a couple of things specifically. We talked about this. The sight pictures are not always perfect in your diagrams anymore.
Yeah, that was a fun conversation. Actually, I sent you the diagrams, and you're like, well, these sight pictures don't look perfect. And I thought, when I looked at it, I was, yeah, they don't. So I'd like doubled down on that. And then I had all the diagrams made with like fucked up sight pictures. That would work for the target, but that looked fucked up.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, this would be an alpha, but it's not lined up. Did you know that? I was like,
and I said, yes, dumb. That's the idea.
I'm just proofing stuff. I'm making sure you see stuff. But yeah, we had a good conversation because it is so just beat into your head about like marksmanship, and it has to be so perfect and stuff. And for a lot of parts of USPSA, it doesn't have to be perfect. The other thing I really liked was the diagrams for diagnosing hits on like a 8-shot array, where you've got like a target, a piece of steel, another target, and like at different heights. And so it's like, okay, maybe on this one you over transitioned a little bit. That's why you're maybe on the far side, or maybe you shot a popper and then you moved to paper. You shot the paper low. That was because when you transitioned, you brought the gun straight across. You didn't look to the A box. So there are like a lot of different ways that I could just look at that, and it's teaching how to read and assess your hits on targets.
All right.
Fair summary?
Yeah. That's what I tried to do.
I like
anyway,
that.
It's going to be cheaper because it's not very big. I think it is currently 115 pages in the 6x9. That might change before publication. If you're in a class with me this year, almost for certain by May, it'll be handed out in my classes domestically. If you're in a class with me overseas, I typically don't fly with books because they're heavy, and I'd like to fly with things such as clothing instead. So sorry about that. But if you're in the US and you're in a class with me this year, or a fundamentals class this year, rather, I would expect to get handed this if you're in a class by about May. And if not, you're going to have to buy 2 or 3 copies in case you want to read it, like more than once. Give it to a friend or whatever.
Use it as a coaster.
You use it as I don't really give a shit what you do with it once you buy it, to be honest with you.
Or if you have like a table that's a little bit wobbly, prop it up, whatever.
I'll be real with you. I don't even really care if people buy it. The other stuff's selling fine. This is just a handout in classes.
Well, but it is quite good, and I like that you have some stuff in it that's not in your other books. So
yeah,
I like that part.
It's a different approach to the same sort of information. So that's it. Breakthrough marksmanship. It's coming. I'm happy about it, and I'll begin work on next year's book shortly. So very excited. Oh, I'm very sorry about that, people. Very sorry.
Should be.
Sorry, I'm going to mute this motherfucker right now.
Oh, wait, telemarketer anyway.
It was, actually. Scam likely. I assume that's a telemarketer. All right. Joel, what do you got?
Show and tell time. I have a new holster. I think the correct verbiage for this is B money. Is that correct, Ben? The hashtag?
That is the B money. Hashtag
okay.
It's the letter B and then the $sign.
Okay, I'll have to get right on that. So I'm a little bit high maintenance with holsters. So I want a holster that like holds the gun securely, but I want it to release the gun without dragging and having too much retention when I draw. I don't want it rattling around from side to side. So I want it to be in the same place if I snap my hand to it to draw. Another issue I've experienced firsthand is having holsters that bump the magazine release because they aren't relieved enough for the mag catch. Maybe like you push down in the holster a little bit or like sideways or something, you go to draw and the magazine falls out. So this one's relieved on both sides, whether you like reverse the button or not, so it doesn't hit the button. But I like it. So audio listeners, sorry, you're just out of luck if I get the height right. But anyway, you can see it's relieved on both sides of the mag catch that I like a lot. It actually fits the gun well, whereas some like it'll rattle around and when you look at it from the side, you're like, what? But this, I mean, it actually fits the gun right. Super smooth to draw, so I like it. And then I guess while we're at it, we should mention like the Boss holster is Boss because we'll get the height right. You get a full like firing grip while it's in the holster. You don't have to shift your body, anything like that. So anyway.
Yeah. So we've been Pro Shop's been kind of in a spot lately. So I'll give people a little bit of explanation for what's been going on with holsters. A little bit of inside baseball or whatever. So Blade Tech decided to stop making a lot of products, which included stock 2 holsters, and I think Shadow 2 stuff was too, right? As well, right, Matt?
I actually am not sure. I haven't shot a stock. I've been shooting Red Hill stuff lately.
Okay, so that left Pro Shop with limited options as far as holsters. So now we have a new vendor, Long Shadow, that's supplying the new B Money holsters, and that's why the art's interesting. So it's like a gray holster with a black art on it, and it's cut a little differently. I have a lot of holsters. I have some of those, and they feel too thin to me when I put them on and use them, but I haven't broken one yet. So I guess they're fine. I'm fairly, I would say, rough on my gear. So if I haven't broken it, they're probably okay.
I do have a minor little rant about that. So people always want to know, like, how many layers of Kydex is that? How thick is it? Like, I post that picture on social media, and I have people ask me, like, hey, is that a double layer, like triple layer, quadruple? You know, like they want to know all this stuff. Like, I find that to be quite irrelevant. I believe the fit is more important than all that other nonsense. So the fact that it fits the gun right, it doesn't rattle around, and then it doesn't drag. And when I draw, like, I want, like second draws or sub-second draws, so I can draw the gun without it binding or catching, like the retention's just right. So yeah, I find that to be extremely important. But
yeah, I don't care how many layers it is. That doesn't even make sense to me.
Nope. But the fit is quite good, like I said. So
yep, I've been impressed with those. I guess Blade Tech just got disinterested in making holsters
altogether. So, is it like a contract thing? I guess you don't want to speak for
I think they're doing injection molding.
Yeah, they're switching to injection molding stuff instead of like bespoke, like 1-off or 10-off Kydex jobs.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically the opposite of the thing that you want, Joel.
Yeah, because I'm picky. High maintenance.
They sell a lot on Amazon still, I think. So they're going for the bulk and maybe not the higher end stuff at this point.
Yeah, it's not
trying to be nice there, but
what you're trying to say, that they're trying to push volume of cheaply manufactured shit instead of the small volume, like more boutique stuff. Is that what you're trying to say, Matt?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty fair assessment.
Anyway, I like having a holster I don't have to Dremel on, like shim or adjust or get some washers out or hit it with a heat gun. So the Long Shadow holster has been good for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's move on to a question. My wife and I started to shoot USPSA 2 years ago, and we are trying to really get better. What are the most common mistakes you see new USPSA shooters make, and what would you suggest to fix them? We really enjoy your podcasts. Okay, here's what I propose, guys. Each of us comes up with one or maybe two things that you see new shooters do. Okay, that is not a productive thing to do, and then we'll go from there.
Live fire, dry fire, or either.
Whatever, Joel. Like just whatever speaks to you. Whatever gets you hard, man.
One of each, Joel.
Yeah, one live fire, one dry fire for you. All right, go ahead, Joel.
Easy.
Oh, wait, Hopkins, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to hear Matt talk.
Buying new stuff to try to acquire skill from it.
Is that not the way it works?
I mean, to some level, right?
What if you buy a book? Like, what if you buy Breakthrough Marksmanship and use it as a coaster? That would kind of give you skill, right?
Well, yeah, you earn skill through osmosis. As long as you set your drink on it every time.
Okay, so yes, obviously not a good idea to try to buy skill. What do you say, Joel?
Treat dry fire just like live fire, but without ammo. So when you dry fire, because I mean, unless you're just independently wealthy, no one can afford to, like go shooting, every single day. Maybe they can't get away. So you're gonna dry fire more than you live fire. So treat dry fire just like it's live fire. So I hold the gun hard, just like the gun was really gonna go off, even though you're in your basement, you're not shooting raw ammo. Pay very close attention to the sights, being very sensitive to what they're doing. Like if your front sight's blipping off to the left or right a little bit, or maybe going down, or whatever, you need to pay attention to that, because if that happens in dry fire, that's happening in live fire when you're shooting live ammo and the gun's going off in front of your face and all that other stuff. So no separation between the two.
Okay.
Ben.
All right, so there's two things I'll bring up, and I'll mention these because I get a lot of questions sent to me. Number one, I would, once you decide you want to do USPSA or whatever you want to do, IDPA through your gun, doesn't matter, go start doing it before you start forming any really strong ideas about how you should be practicing or what gear you should own or whatever. Just go do it for a while. You are going to learn more at your first few matches than you can learn on the internet in a month of research. Okay, so go start doing it. A lot of people sending me questions or whatever, they want to they want to be like really proficient before they ever go to a match, and I totally understand that. The fact is, nobody will remember your score your first match. Nobody will remember. So just go. You're gonna get your, what's a nice way of putting this, a polite way? You're gonna get your shit. You're gonna get your shit pushed in your first few matches, and that's okay. Nobody will care. But you're gonna learn tons. So definitely start going. And then the other thing is, no matter how it looks to you, especially at the club level, you can get kind of a strange perception, because you can have guys that are, they're relatively fast, but they're not super well sorted out as shooters. Like those people might be winning matches or might win club matches occasionally, but don't kid yourself. It's a game of high speed marksmanship. That's what it is. It's not really about gear or types of ammunition or any stuff like that. It's high speed marksmanship. And when you start training, that's what you should be training for. It's like draw the gun, grip it properly, really fast, shoot little things in the center. That's what you should be training to do, because that's what's going to make you do well, is hitting things fast, high speed marksmanship. That's what it is. Although running around and stage planning and all that other stuff is just sort of window dressing. What it's really about is the shooting part. So
right.
That's a fair summation. Oh, okay, go ahead, Joel.
Be aggressive looking for information also. I missed the boat on that, like my first go around in USPSA. So listen to like what everybody has to say, podcasts, like shooting DVDs, books, all that kind of stuff. At some point, you'll get to the point where like maybe this person says something that you like. So maybe you take a little bit from each person. Like Ben has something that he really likes. Vogel says this, like, oh, I really identify. Yeah, I really like that part. And then you like started dragging in these little pieces. Remember, Matt does this thing. Like Matt did this. I really like it. That clicked with me. You start dragging all these little pieces from everyone, and that's what makes up your shooting. So be aggressive, looking for information, and just kind of analyze everything, and don't be overly dismissive of stuff until, like, as you shoot more, you'll get more opinions, and you'll learn more and find out what does and doesn't work.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, guys, I'm going to end it here. Listeners, if you have a question you'd like the answer to, go to bensteger.com, send me your question. You can send questions about Matt, why he's been ducking the podcast for the last 3 months. You can tell me how annoying you find Joel, that he's always on. You can
That's
tell
true.
me to go on sabbatical for a while, whatever you want. BenSteger.com, send me your question.